A couple of updates, because I know you're concerned. We have fires now here burning in California. It was, did I read this headline correctly? It was 121 degrees in Los Angeles yesterday. Now, it was hot, I'll tell you that. But I don't know. I'm reading these words here. I'm figuring fake news. 121 degrees. Fires are burning everywhere. There is a haze in the air, and when the sun shines through it, it casts kind of a red shadow on the ground. Very ominous. Which, of course, is exactly the feeling I need and want right now. Is the whole apocalyptic end of the world thing. Fires. They're expecting high temperatures today, Labor Day. They are expecting high winds that will blow these fires around to burn people up. Watch this space. In the meantime, remember that whole Burning Man thing I was so proud of? Yeah. Headline last night, 1,000 so-called burners, that would be the designation of people who attend Burning Man regularly, or who have attended Burning Man in the past. 1,000 of them show up on a beach in San Francisco thinking it's their sacred right to throw a party without social distancing, and in many cases without masks. And they are publicly shunned by everybody with common sense, including me. It just goes to show, not that I ever said you should try to find literacy and good sense among all the attendees of Burning Man. But such stark proof in the face of the pandemic wasn't necessary for me. Too bad. There. Burning Man. Moving on. Moving back. Moving over to Taiwan and supernatural things over there. Spoke of the temple, and the beautiful or horrible irony of all of it is so apparent now, all these years later, because, of course, at the time, what we did not talk about, what Elder Dunn and I, what we felt was, frankly, fear, essentially. It was fear. We were in the presence of something that didn't make sense to us. If there were going to be miracles, they had to be Mormon miracles. And of course, here we are watching, what are we watching? We're watching the entranced transcription of sacred words coming from another realm or another world. Sound familiar? Wait a minute, Joseph Smith is the only one who's allowed to do that. So, what was just witnessed in Corey's mind very quickly becomes the devil himself, the devil. The devil. That shit's the devil. The devil made them do that. This is the exorcist right before my eyes. In the context of being a missionary. Help. Help. Somebody help. Off we went tracting, hoping that people didn't look to their own private little next-door temple there for anything like Joseph Smith with two peepstones looking at ancient golden plates and translating them. No wonder we were so reasonably well received with all of that stuff when it comes to Mormonism. which is all the hard stuff for me to swallow, or was. Asians comes to, magic things, peepstones. We get it. We're there. We are that close to the spirit world all the time. You little baby 19-year-old Mormon missionaries. And Corey and Robin just happened to cross paths with it and stop and watch what took place. Then there's the good story, the really good supernatural story, as follows. I'm in Elon. I think I was visiting Zone Leader a year later, or 8 months later, because it seems to me that Elder Skeen was there with me. And we did splits. We did mixed splits, by which I mean we went tracting, 3 of us, because we wanted to do mixed splits with the sisters. So it was 2 elders and a sister, tracting as a threesome, and tracting in a way, again, it's Elon. So if I'm visiting Zone Leader, it's kind of by way of storytelling and example giving and lesson giving. And yes, we can go knock on a few doors. And as we observe what's taken place, because there really aren't enough doors to knock on, you know what I'm talking about in that whole context. Again, of young people, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, or slightly older, trying to make sense of what they're doing on a daily basis in Taiwan as Mormons 43 years ago. In that context, we have Corey Meacham and one of the missionaries from down there at the time, can't remember his name, and Sister Joe. I hope you knew Sister Joe. And it was Joe Giamé. But her first name was Joanne. That's all I remember. Joe Giamé. She was blonde. And she was a kick. She was a joy to be around. Fun, funny, practical, realistic. Was she a health missionary? I don't think so. I don't think she was a health missionary. I think she was a proselytizing missionary. In any case, there's Joe, who has now followed in the footsteps of Peggy Plant, establishing sisters down on the East Coast. 8 months, a year later, Joe Giamé. And she is on her bike. And of course, the missionary bikes in Taiwan were such a thing. They were so consistent. They were so recognizable. And the sisters' bikes were, of course, lower. And they were a girl's bike, so that, of course, you could wear a skirt. And so she was on one of those low bikes with a basket in front. And it was nighttime in Ilan. It was very much after dark, and all the vehicles on the roads were driving with their headlights on. And we were on our bikes heading for what I can only suppose was an investigator's house. Or perhaps by that time we were going to have something to eat and go in. I don't know. But there are the 3 of us on our bikes, parading along, the 3 of what must have been at that point 6 white faces roaming around in the city of Elon. And Sister Joe is in front of me. She's between the elder, he's probably at this point 50 yards. He's just within sight up there driving around. Or 25 to 50 yards. And Sister Joe is only about 10 to 15 feet. She's probably 20 feet in front of me. 20 feet. Riding along, pedaling. We did not have lights on our bikes. There were not street lights. So the whole thing was always back at that time kind of an ambient light from the shops and or the moon and the stars, and then of course the lights of the vehicles that animated the streets there. Sister Joe, 20 feet ahead of me, cruising along, and we could cruise on our bikes. You know, we weren't going to waste any time. We weren't lollygagging, and we weren't talking while we were riding. We had someplace to get. So we're moving along at a very good clip, kind of on the sidewalk, kind of on the back streets that are bringing us down to the main street, the traffic circle specifically. I remember it was very close to the traffic circle. One of the hubs, one of the spoke streets leading into the traffic circle, very well paved, and big enough to certainly handle traffic in both directions, including trucks. You will remember the trucks over in Taiwan. How did we survive? How did anybody let us ride our bikes around in that traffic? How did we not sign waivers that we would not sue people when we got hit and killed by the trucks? I don't know. Because right before my eyes, at night in the dark, Joe Giamé, she takes a reasonably sharp turn to get across this 2-lane street that, you know, is fully, it's fully 10 yards wide, maybe with a stripe down the center, if they were that advanced. But traffic is moving both ways, and Sister Joe is bobbing and weaving, and we know what we're doing because we've been riding bikes on island for a while now, and of course we're 20 years old, so we are invincible and indestructible. And she darts to cross the road. And just as she does, in kind of a Y formation, from around the corner comes a big-ass truck. One of those Hitachi jobs, one of those flat-faced Hitachi jobs, with probably diesel, 2 people in the cab way up there, and a bed full of something. But you know what I'm talking about. Flat-faced, big diesel flat-faced truck moving at speed. And the headlights are on. Of course, it's night. Very bright. And it comes swinging around the corner at speed, you know, at 50 miles an hour. Probably just starting to hit the brakes so that when it gets to the traffic circle, it can swing around onto one of the other spoke roads. And she pulls right in front of that truck in a Y formation, and you can just see the physics of it. You can just see it. You can see it. She's leaning into her turn and pedaling because she wants to get across the street before the next vehicle comes. Oops. The next vehicle coming is a big truck, and it's moving, and it's heading in the same arc that you are heading, so that you guys are going to meet at a 90-degree angle in about 1 second from right now. And Corey is about 20 feet behind her, and I'm watching this. And just as a scream shout comes out of my mouth, that truck hits its horn. And you know those horns. Those air horns that are deafening because we heard them because people in trucks shot them at us so often. To get out of the way, damn it. Sister Joe, get out of the way. As I watch the headlights flash in there at about the level of her hair, And I just watched those headlights come in contact with her hair as they spread the light out, as her hair is kind of flying in the wind because she's moving just fast enough, as those headlights just run into her head. And the body of the truck just runs into her bike, runs into her. As I'm shouting and screaming, as the horn is blaring and the darkness of night is framing anything. And I slam on my brakes just in time to stop so the truck can pass in front of me. Zoom. Not gonna slow down now. And I look up, and Sister Joe is about 10 feet on the other side of the road. And she's sitting there looking at me. And she knows something just happened. And I ride my bike over there lickety-split. And I stare at her with my mouth open. And she says, well, you know, Elder Meacham, we are told there are only two kinds of people. The quick and the dead.
Sometimes you're better off dead. There's a gun in your hand, it's pointing at your head. You think you're mad, too unstable, kicking in chairs and knocking down tables in a restaurant in a West End town. Call up police, there's a madman around, running down underground to a dive bar in a West End town. In a West End town, a dead end world, with Eastern boys and Western girls. In a West End town, a dead end world, Eastern boys and Western girls. Shadows, whispering voices, faces on posters, too many choices. If, when, why, what, how much have you got? Have you got it? Do you get it? If so, how often? Which do you choose, a hard or soft option? In a Western town, a dead-end world, meet Eastern boys and Western girls. A Western town, a dead-end world, Eastern boys, Western girls. You got a heart of glass or a heart of stone. Just you wait till I get you home. All your stopping, stalling and starting. Who do you think you are, Joe Starling? Sometimes you're better off dead. There's a gun in your hand, it's pointing at your head. In a Western town, a dead-end world, meet Eastern boys and Western girls. In a Western town, a dead-end world, Eastern boys, Western girls, Western.